Hello there everyone and welcome to a new review on the channel, and today we're looking at the second product by Tyrrell. Ironically, it's the first one that he released, but it's the second one that I'm reviewing on the channel, and that is Vanishing Point. This is a really fun vanishing kind of set of decks effect that is an intro to a routine that you may want to do. This one I really like, and this one I actually use. So let's roll the intro and talk more about it. Perfect, so you decide to stick around, which means you want to learn more about Vanishing Point. So what is Vanishing Point? Vanishing Point is essentially a set of 5 decks that you'll be able to show to spectator, present, you snap your fingers and it becomes just one deck. I'll have a performance of it either on the right or the left side of the screen so you can see what it looks like. So now that you know exactly what Vanishing Point is, let's talk about where you buy this, how much does it cost, and what do you get. So you can buy this from Vanishing Inc., but also any other retailer. This is available at ALAKAZAM, Penguin Magic, a bunch of other shops as well, maybe even your local magic shop, so keep an eye out for that. This will set you back $29.99 USD, so basically $30, which is around 40 something Canadian. And what you get with your purchase is this little box. So inside of this little box, you are getting your instructional video for first, which is separated in a few distinct videos where he teaches you the main effect. The main video is around 30-40 minutes. He teaches you how he came up with this, the main effect, how to handle it, how to do it, how to play it out in different ways, how to clean it up in different ways, everything that you need to know. Then there's a second video in which he teaches you how to make another gimmick. So if ever your gimmick wears down or breaks or anything like that, he goes over how to make an additional gimmick, and it's pretty easy to make. It's not that complicated. We'll talk about that in a moment. And the last thing is, you may have seen when this came out, Kyle Littleton put out a performance where he shows 4 decks and turns them into cash money. So that is included as well in a separate video. Then additionally to that, you also get your gimmick. So one, you get a sticker set, which will let you customize your gimmick in either all red, all blue, or in different colors, which are pink, green, blue, red, and yellow. So you're gonna get that as well. You're gonna get your sticker set. And then you're also gonna get 2 gimmicks. One gimmick that will go in the deck, and one gimmick that will play out the effect itself. So that's all built for you. Everything is ready to go out of the box. You just have to learn it and you'll be good to go. So yeah, that is everything that you get with your purchase. Now, before continuing, let's tackle a few extra points that I've seen on a lot of social media posts or questions about this on forums, etc. So let's talk about it. So 1, is the crease on the gimmick a problem? And my answer to that is no. I don't think the crease is really visible. And if you do this as an intro and the people stare at the decks that closely, then maybe you did introduce yourself well, or maybe people are just way too skeptical at the venue that you're performing with. Because when I've been doing this, I do it as an intro, and I'm even going to tell you my performance the way that I do it. So the way that I do it is when I come up to a table, I come up with the decks of cards, and I say, so hi, I'm hired here, whatever. You do your little intro thing, and I say, before I start, I usually always carry around with me 5 decks of cards because I'm always interested in knowing what people think. Out of these 5 decks of cards, so the yellow, the green, the blue, the pink, and the red, which one do you think is the most psychologically appealing to spectators? So then you ask around the table, and I guarantee you 9 out of 10 times people will say red. So when they say red, you say red. So that means the other ones aren't very appealing. So you snap, everything disappears, you just have a red deck. So you're gonna say, so perfect. We're now just gonna use the red deck. Can you please shuffle these cards? And you're good into it. If they say no, you say, so what is yours? Yours, you think it's blue. That's very interesting, but it's actually not. It's very interesting. Usually people always say red because red always pops out the most, which is why always when I perform, you do the move, I always perform with red. So here, take it. So even if they say another color, you just make it into why red is the most visually appealing because you ask a question that has a definitive answer. So that's how I perform it. And it's kind of like an offbeat thing where they're like, wait, what just happened there? And then you move into something else. That's how I perform it. That's my scripting for it. And I feel it makes it play more as a psychological thing where they get to thinking rather than hey, look at the decks, look at this, I have 5 decks, look at them, look, it's gonna vanish, right? If you do it like this, it's very casual. I just come up and I hold them, I talk to them, whatever, I ask them questions, I'm like, okay, and then I make it vanish. I don't really pay attention to it, even though I address it a bit, I don't really pay attention. So if you want, you can use that type of performance style or that pattern to do it as well if you want to buy this or use it, because I feel it kind of makes the attention go to them and to what they're thinking rather than the actual decks of cards. So to me, the crease is not a problem at all. Second thing that we need to talk about is how hard is it to make a new gimmick and how sturdy is the gimmick. So the gimmick that you get is pretty sturdy, but if you use this constantly over and over and over and over and over and over again, it will eventually wear out. So if you want to make your own gimmick, you have pretty much all you have to do is just cut a bit and glue a bit. It's not really hard, but you will need to provide your boxes of cards, which means that if you want to do the multicolored version, you're gonna have to find multicolored decks of bicycle cards in order to build your gimmick. So you do have to keep that in mind, but the gimmick to build is not that hard, but it will take a bit of time, a bit of patience, and will require a bit of extra funds in order to build it and make it, okay? So that is all I wanted to address before moving into difficulty. So how difficult is this effect to perform? This is not very difficult. It is pretty much self-working, but it will require practice. It is not just you take it and you vanish it. You will need to practice your finger positioning, your movement, the way you position your body, the timing when you do the move, if you want cover, no cover, how you want to do it. You'll have to practice all of that and make sure everything plays well. You'll also have to practice what do you do after. Do you want to just take the deck, place it in your pocket and do something else? Do you want to tip the cards out, give the deck out and ditch the box? Do you want to clean it up? Do you want to do maybe a gambler's cop and just clean it up and give the entire deck to the person to shuffle and they open it up? You're going to have to practice that as well and make it fluid and not make it seem maybe robotic or unnatural. So difficulty wise, not too difficult, but will require some practice. In terms of practicality, how practical is this? Well, if you want to do this, I would say you maybe carry around your gimmick in this, and when you're ready to perform, you just attach it to your deck and you're ready to go, because I wouldn't place this in my pocket or in my wallet or leave it permanently on the deck, because it will maybe bend or maybe rough or maybe break faster than it has to because of wear and tear. So personally, if I would just do this, I would just keep it separate and just add it when I want to perform, because that's what I've been doing for now. I've performed this a few times before doing some card effects. So I start out with this like psychological question that I asked, and then I moved into something like any card at any number or something like that. So I would always then just take off the gimmick, take out the box later on in the routine to do maybe a card to box. And then when I move on to another table, I would just re-add the gimmick. That's what I would do. So practicality wise, it is pretty much very practical. You can either carry around on your box the whole time or just add it, remove it at your leisure. Now let's talk about angles. So what are the angles of Vanishing Point? The angles of Vanishing Point are pretty much 180, depending, like if you can imagine the decks here at the crease, then it is almost like a 180 from the crease. So you have to be careful there's no one behind you or anyone like at a dead angle from here. So pretty much 180 in terms of angles. In terms of inspectability, the deck is inspectable fully at the end, and the box is pretty much inspectable too as well. Depending on the way you want to clean up, it is relatively inspectable, so there's no issue regarding that. In terms of a table or anything like that, you do not need a table, you do not need whatsoever. You can do this standing up. In terms of reset, as I mentioned, you can take the gimmick on, off, and reset in an instant. It really is that easy. And lastly, the last thing that we want to mention is repeatability. You can repeat this over and over again without any issues. Of course, not on the same table, but if you want to repeat it from table to table, there is no problem. Yes, it's always going to be a red deck, but it's a firm question. What is the most psychological influenced card? Card color. So there's a definitive answer for that. And if it's red, it's going to be red at every single table. So that is fine as well. Now let's talk about where to perform. So where would you perform Vanishing Point? Vanishing Point works really well on social media, but as well in real life. And the way that I perform this is as an intro. So if it's a casual set, or if I want to do something with a deck of cards, or even as an opener to maybe your parlor set of cards. If you do card magic, I think this could play really well and do a really good visual moment. So I think you can perform this in a lot of places as long as you open up with this as a card effect. So the way to introduce your deck of cards would be with Vanishing Point. So whether it's real life or on social media or Zoom, I think that you can get away with performing this as long as the angles are right. I think you're good to go. So now that we've covered all of the bases, let's talk about the negatives and the positives of this effect. So what are the negatives of Vanishing Point? There's not many negatives, but the only negative that I can think of is I wonder if you want to do a rainbow deck of cards as the one provided with you with your package. Would it just be cheaper to buy another already made gimmick than to make your own? In Canada, I would maybe think so, because a yellow deck of bicycle cards is like $5-ish, maybe more. So if I have to buy all these multicolored decks and whatever, and maybe buy some extra things, it's probably gonna rack up to like $25-30. So I'd rather pay maybe $8 extra because of the conversion between US and Canada and just get it ready made. So yeah, I mean, if you want to build it in all red or all blue, then that will be very cheap for you. It's gonna cost you maybe $10-ish, $15 to make another one. But if you want to build the rainbow one, which to me is the only way that I would perform this, so I would not perform this with all blue and all red, then you're in a bit of a dilemma. Do I repurchase this? Do I make it myself and spend all that money? Or do I just buy a new one? So yeah, that's, I think, one of the major negatives for me, especially here in Canada. But apart from that, I know one of the major negatives for a lot of people is the crease on the box. And again, I feel if presented well, presented in a different spin than just look here, look at the cards, they're gonna vanish, I think the crease is not a problem, but I know it may be a big problem to some because it was very vocalized when this came out. Now, what about the positives? So why is this a good effect? One, the instructions are great. The gimmick is well made. It's ready to go. It's customizable. It's a very visual effect. It's a fun effect. It's pretty easy to perform, and it's a great opener for a card set. So there's a lot of good here as well. Now, would I recommend Vanishing Point, and what would I give it out of 10? Would I recommend Vanishing Point? And my answer is yes. I personally use it sometimes, so I do use it and I do recommend it. I think if you're looking for a quick opener to introduce your deck of cards and to introduce yourself as a magician, I think this will do the trick and it will satisfy you for the money that you pay. So yes, I do recommend it. What do I rate it out of 10? It is good, but it is not something incredible that changed the way that I perform magic. So I'm giving it a 7.5 out of 10. It is very good. It is practical. It does what it's supposed to do. I like it, but it's not something that I would like, for example, as much as something like Leviosa that literally floors my spectators or changed the way that I perform certain effects. So yeah, it is very good. I do recommend it. And if you have any other questions, as always, leave them down below. If not, thank you so much for liking and subscribing. And I'll see you all in my next review. Have a great one, and bye-bye.